here today to talk about apprenticeships, but first and foremost, let me introduce myself, Michelle from Clarity and Beyond, and Rosaline from the HR department.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
And we wanted to talk about apprenticeships today because it's quite a timely moment to do so because we're coming up to GCSE time. There's lots of young people who are thinking about their future and what they want to do. And also, from an employer's perspective, it's a wonderful opportunity to look at what you want your workforce to look like and how you can bring in people and train them with the skills that you need to have a strong and robust business. And so, Rosaline, you're going to talk us through some background about apprenticeships
That's
and
correct.
how beneficial they are actually, particularly to small businesses.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Good morning, viewers. Before I can talk about the benefit, let me just give overview about the apprenticeship levy in the UK because it's a bit confusing for some employers as well. And just the background, if that's okay with you, Michelle.
Absolutely. I would love to
Yeah,
know more because I know it can seem on the face of it to be quite a complex system, and actually having the opportunity for you to explain that to us would be incredible.
yeah, okay. So basically, I'm just going to talk about the apprenticeship levy itself first. The apprenticeship levy is actually a government initiative which was designed to encourage employers to invest into apprenticeships. It was actually introduced in April 2017. I remember vividly because I was working in ACAS then, and I actually put in together around the apprenticeship strategy to recruit our first apprentices in. And it applies to all employers with an annual bill of 3 million or more. So this is where employers, if your annual payroll bill is 3 million or more, you pay into the apprenticeship levy to HMRC. And when you then put into this money, so it's like you are sowing, then you reap it later. If you then decide
Okay.
to take on apprentices, you don't need to start thinking about, okay, I need to put somebody through to do some qualification. Let me use as an example. You recruit somebody, a younger one just finishing GCSEs or A-levels. Let me use that one. And they don't think, you know what, university is not for me. I want to do engineering or quantity surveying through apprenticeships. And you then decide to take this young person on. You don't need to worry about paying for their qualification. Say, for example, if you're already paying into the apprenticeship levy, your bill is actually 3 million and over. All you need to do is go into your portal and then draw the money to pay for the qualification. This is different from what are you going to get the funding to pay for this apprentice salary.
I see.
So,
Okay.
yes. And like Michelle mentioned earlier, a lot of younger ones are sitting GCSEs from next month. Some are sitting A levels, and all of these younger ones, they actually start considering their career future. Some will come out GCSE at the age of 16. They just decide, you know what, I do not want to go, I don't want to do A levels. I don't want to go college. I just want to go straight into apprenticeships. They can do apprenticeships from the age of 16. There's no age limit.
Okay.
16 and above.
Mm-hmm.
16 and above. And the minimum requirement the government is asking is 5 GCSEs at grade C, which is now level
Okay.
4, including English and maths.
Okay.
English and maths. As an employer, you can ask me, what if I then attract a younger one that
Mm.
actually they are not academically sound or they didn't pass English and maths? What should I do? That is fine. There's a leeway. Once you enroll them as at a college, they can sit what we call functional skills before they finish their apprenticeships. That is basic English and maths. But it is
Okay.
a requirement of the funding rules of apprenticeships. They must have English and maths.
Okay.
Again, if they don't have that at GCSEs, If you enroll them on apprenticeships, it's one of the funding rules and one of the commitments agreement that you must sign as as an employer, that
Mm.
this individual will sit functional skills. The
Okay.
college where you enroll them to do apprenticeships will prepare them for that.
Okay. Okay. So it isn't that if they don't have maths and English at C or above, that they're
Mm-hmm.
automatically unable to apply for apprenticeship. They still can. They just need to do that functional
Functional
skills
skills.
qualification as well. And is
Yes.
there an additional cost implication to the organisation for that, or is it all covered within
No, it's all
the
covered. All covered.
okay?
Is part of the extras that the college they actually offers as well. And I think the cost to the organization or the business owner is actually the time. You need to kind of release them for time
Okay.
to be able
Yeah.
to see their functional skills in addition to the apprenticeships.
Okay.
Apprenticeship is 80/20. 80% is
Mhm.
spent with you as an employer
Mhm.
and 20% is spent at the college.
Mhm.
So that is all the job training. It is mandatory, they must go to college at least 1 day a week,
Okay.
depending on their qualification. Some qualification is block release. If
Mm.
individual is doing bricklaying or scaffolding or
Yeah.
roofing, the
Mm.
college might actually run the course like block release. Block
Okay.
release is when they go to college for 2 weeks
Mhm.
and they come back to you as an employer for
Yeah.
another 3 or 4 weeks to embed what they've learned into the qualification.
Okay.
Again, as an employer, you must have enough scope of work for them
Okay.
to be able to carry on that qualification. There's no
Mm.
point in that individual doing bricklaying apprentice
Mm.
and then they come to you, they are doing carpentry. So whatever they are learning
Mm.
must actually, correspond to
Yeah.
the job they are doing with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of being very clear about what you need in your organisation, having
Mm-hmm.
that sort of time to plan and think
Yeah.
actually, using your construction example, um, we need a we need bricklayers because they're pretty scarce, aren't they,
Mm-hmm.
in the UK? And having the knowledge that they're going to go away, learn some solid skills for 2 weeks, and then come back and apply that, and
Mm-hmm.
having that plan in mind before you recruit your apprentice,
Yeah.
I can see how you can actually have a really good system in place of people going
Of
out learning
course.
skills, coming in,
Yeah.
delivering.
Yeah.
So it's about, it seems to me it's about planning and really understanding what you need in your
It
organisation.
is. It is. It is about planning. And I think as an organization, if you're thinking about succession planning, so don't think about, oh, I'm going to have this apprentice for 24 months, to do any of the trades that I've mentioned, or even accounting or business administration for
Mm,
24 months. And you're
mm,
thinking, after that, here you go, they get their qualification, you let them off. Think about succession planning. Apprenticeship start from level 2.
mm.
So they start, which is equivalent of A-levels if they don't want to do A-levels. They do level
Okay.
2. They finish level 2. They get their certificate. What are your plans for them? We
Yeah.
actually encourage employers to keep them on and you build your staff. You keep them on as your permanent staff. That individual might come back to you after a year. Once they finish their apprenticeships, level 2, they start working with you. And they
Mm,
ask, actually, I want to progress. Can I do level 3? Can I do level
yeah.
4? Can I
Yeah.
do level 6? Level 6 is degree apprenticeships. And that's how you build your staff. And that's what I meant by succession planning.
That is so important, isn't it? And I mean,
Yeah,
what a great shame to have somebody for 24 months and mold them and benefit from the skills and the up-to-date knowledge that they learn when they go to
yeah,
college, and then say goodbye to them at the end. It
yeah,
seems that you could be sending off a really valuable resource to go and work for somebody else, and
yeah,
actually keeping them in the organization, and having them as a really valued member of the team
yeah,
seems to make perfect sense.
yeah. It is very easy, to be honest with you. I'll just encourage employers out there, if you think you want to build your business, you want to build your staff, look into
Mm,
apprenticeships,
mm,
look into bringing the younger ones. They start, you develop your staff. So just before I just kind of round up, I just want to talk about the benefits of apprenticeship, you know,
yeah,
Levy as well. So because I just have 3 points that I'm just going to talk about. The first one is a lot of people will ask, I think apprenticeship is for younger ones. No, there's no age limit. Even your existing workforce, existing staff, if they haven't got formal qualification,
mm.
start thinking about developing them,
Oh
upskilling them.
gosh, I hadn't
So you
appreciated
can,
that.
yes,
That's
you can
brilliant.
develop them. And that actually falls under lifelong learning. I don't know, Michelle, you've heard about long life learning. Rather than going to adult education, you
Yeah,
upskill them, and then
yeah,
you become employer of choice. They stay with you because
yeah,
they've got that experience but no formal qualification. Why not upskill your existing staff with
yeah,
apprenticeship? So my number 1 point is it encourages lifelong learning and workforce upskilling.
yeah. I think that
Yeah.
is really important. And actually, for small businesses who might not be thinking about huge pay rises, it can be massively motivating for members of
Yeah.
staff to be recognised for what they bring and actually upskilled and given the
Yeah.
opportunity to learn and grow. So it's
Yes.
another way to reward people, I think,
I
and
love that reward. Yes.
it's and actually everybody wins. So
Mm-hmm.
why not?
Why not? Why not?
I do have one key question. Sorry, did you
Yeah.
want to say some more on that before
Yeah,
I...
I just want to add one more benefit anyway, if it's okay.
Of
They
course.
actually also help you as an employer to develop your skilled workers. For apprenticeship, the college or the training providers, they can actually tailor the program, the content of that program for your business needs.
Okay.
Yes,
So it's tailored as well.
it
It's
is
not
tailored.
very, it's not completely generic.
Mm-mm. They have generic in terms of what the Institute of Apprenticeship says, IFIT. They have
Right.
a generic one because it's a standard. They
Yeah.
have what they need to deliver around
Mm.
parts of the funding rules.
Mm.
However, there's some element that has to be tailored to your own business needs.
There don't seem to be any disadvantages from what you're telling us here.
No,
So I
no,
think that any small business owners who haven't thought about it should definitely look into it as an
yeah,
option.
yeah.
Um, Rosaline, if anybody's curious to know more, are you able to help them? Are you able to chat people through what they need to do? How can you help people to understand more?
I'm happy I can support in the recruitment of your apprentices. I'm happy to go through the apprenticeship levy that
Mm,
you might or might not be, liable to HMRC as well.
mm,
Because when you're thinking about apprenticeships, you need to think about one of the things that how am I going to pay for the qualification? I can explain that to
mm,
you. The
mm,
qualification at the moment, if you recruit somebody between 18, 16 and 21 and above, before they hit
mm,
22, the
mm.
qualification is free regardless
Okay.
of if even if your bill is over the 3 million I was talking of earlier on.
Yeah.
If you then attract a candidate that is 22 years and over, you pay
Mm.
5% of that qualification. For example, if the
Okay.
qualification per year is 10 grand per year, you
Okay.
only pay 5% of that 10K if you
Okay.
attract age 22 and above.
Okay.
So yeah, and then you then look at in terms of your turnover, you should be
Yeah.
able to have enough money to be able to pay that apprentice wage, at
Right.
least the minimum wage that the
Right.
government requires. But anyone wants to chat with me, I can help you to support all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to that point on planning, it's something that understanding these details and thinking longer term,
Yeah.
and that's something that you're able to sort of ask the right
So yeah.
questions of an organisation who might want to consider bringing
Yeah.
an apprentice in. So
What is
that
next?
sounds
Yeah.
like,
What is next? Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds like a great opportunity for anybody who wants to know
Seriously.
more to
To know more.
chat
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It
and
is. It is. A lot of people don't. I think it's because of the lack of awareness that is
right.
putting a lot of employers off. I know the government is really advocating it, but coming down from looking at the small businesses, thinking in
Mm,
terms of building your staff or your workforce,
mm,
they need to start thinking into that. And I know a lot of, I do school enterprise, and a lot of younger ones that actually thinking of not going to university. They've
mm,
actually approaching, oh, I don't want to go to university, but it's very difficult out there to get an employer to take you on as an apprentice. So
mm,
yeah, it's very easy to do. It's something that can
mm,
support with. And if you don't understand, please just ask the right questions. So and then
yeah.
support to build our future, our younger ones coming into the employment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
going to show my age here now, but I had friends who went through the youth training scheme many years ago as apprentices, and stayed with their organisation for years actually,
Mm-hmm.
and they went on to have really, really high level careers in other
Of
organisations,
course.
but they stayed with their original employer for a long time.
Yeah.
And I just think, wow, they learned so much. The organisation got so much from having them work in there with them, and it is,
Yes.
as I say, win-win.
Seriously, it's a good career pathways, to be honest with you.
Mm,
And in my previous job, like I was saying, I was managing all the apprentices in acres for 11 offices, and then having the joy to recruit them, having them seeing them completed their apprenticeships, and then moving on to apply for promotions. I was
yeah,
looking on LinkedIn last week. One of the apprentices that I recruited in my team to do level 3 HR, they've moved on. They become manager. One of them is actually doing, is a capability HR capability lead now in
wow,
departments of business and innovation. So,
brilliant.
to see that joy when they get their certificates, it's just like a mother seeing their children being
Yeah.
successful. That the joy in my heart when I
Oh,
see them. And one of them was actually doing digital, in our
mm.
IT. And he went on, he finished that year and he was recruited by Microsoft. He went through
Oh,
their boot camp.
wow.
Seriously, and the joy. And then you get this thank you letter, just think, you know what?
Yeah.
And I think as a parent as well, some parents don't support that. Gone were the days when they think apprenticeship is just, oh, it's nothing. There's so many
Mm,
career pathways. This is my own personal thing.
yeah.
If a child wants to do a construction or wants to do
Mm,
engineering,
mm,
accounting,
mm,
honestly, business administration,
mm.
finance, I will encourage parents to not encourage your child to do apprenticeships in finance. They
I,
go places. They
I
go
think,
places. They will sit ICANN, ACCA, CIMA exam. Those are the
yeah,
things a good company will give them. By the time they come
yeah.
out, you know, yeah, that is
It,
just my own personal from what I've seen in recruitment.
I love your
Yeah,
passion for
yeah,
apprenticeships, and I think you make such a good point. Not every child or young person wants to go down the academic route. Maybe they're more practically minded. Maybe they learn in a different way. Maybe the university system isn't what appeals to them, and actually there is other things associated with that, like student debt, and an apprenticeship takes you on a different pathway,
yeah,
earning money and learning at the same time, and
yeah,
contributing to an organisation. And I think
yeah.
I love the stories that you've shared about
Seriously,
the apprentices that
yeah,
you've worked with, and the
they've
sense
gone.
of
Yeah,
achievement for everybody. That's
yeah. But don't
wonderful.
get me wrong, like I said, there's some qualification it is best studied as
Mm.
through apprenticeship pathways,
Yeah, yeah,
some to go to universities
yeah,
because they learn, they earn, they've got that
yeah,
experience. So
yeah. That's huge, isn't it?
yeah,
Wonderful. Right. Well, I hope that people are going to be reaching out to you, Rosalind, and asking questions and saying, "Where do you sign me up for an apprentice? What do
Yeah,
I need to do?" Because it just, yeah,
yeah. I'll drop in the chat as
something.
well the link to the Institute of Apprenticeships that it's
Okay.
got different qualifications and
Yeah.
everything. Any individuals watching this that are thinking of apprenticeships, or should I go
Mm.
or should I not go to
Mm-hmm.
universities? But one thing I need to say, if a student watching this, please, going through apprenticeship, if you don't
Mm.
like education, you know, apprenticeship is not, it's not the way, it's not an escape way out, because you
Yeah.
still need to go to college or a training provider.
Yeah.
You will still learn. It's just in a different set. It's not going to be through
Yeah.
universities, but you have to go to college at
Yeah.
least one day a week. Just to let you know, it is not an escape route. If you don't like education, please think about that before you go into that.
Yeah.
So
And actually, sometimes maybe we need to see education in a different way. And you mentioned a phrase before we started recording, Rosalind, about lifelong learning. And I think if we can all embrace the fact that we learn one way or another all the way through life and see that as an opportunity,
mm-hmm,
then college is nothing to be feared. It's something
of
to
course.
embrace with open arms, isn't it? So, yeah, thank you for that.
I know. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, viewers. I hope you find this very useful.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching. Any questions? There'll be details in the description for this particular episode, and reach out and let's see if we can get more apprentices recruited in the Royal Borough of Greenwich.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you,
brilliant.
Michelle.
No, thank you. I love